there, my name is Richard Moore. I wanted to share my American gospel testimony. We are missionaries in Germany now for about 11 years, and we were first missionaries here for a couple years, and I started to notice a strange movement coming into Germany as we just arrived. And we were wondering what in the world this is. I was ministering to young people who wanted to be involved in a new movement and new stadium events and different things like this. And I was wondering what in the world is this movement? It seemed strange to me. And I started looking into it and started doing research and finding the connections to Bethel and the NAR for all these things that I noticed happening in Germany and Europe wide. And so I was very shocked, started to formulate these things and write these things up and keep notes, and pretty soon that became a book. We were sort of felt like we were on an island. This movement swept into a church that we were part of, and we had to leave for pressure for the reasons that we wrote this book. I wrote this book of critique against Bethel, against the New Apostolic Reformation, for their theological positions, for their teaching, for their theology and their practice. We were totally alone in this fight, in this idea, and trying to clarify for people what this thing was. We really felt alone in our fight, in our stance. No one seemed to be with us. They were all saying, "Oh, come on, Richard," calling us names, calling us Pharisees. Maybe, I'm sure you've heard this. Why don't you go over to Bethel? Why don't you do a Matthew 18 process? Why don't you talk to them? Even though I had done all of that, I had actually reached out to people before I even wrote my book. And so we felt really under an immense amount of pressure, even though we had done all due diligence. We had done everything biblically necessary to write such a book and to make critique against a movement that was sweeping into Europe and Germany and trying to clarify for people what this was and that this was not a biblical, faithfully Christian movement. Quickly after my book was released, a film came out. People were telling me about it. "Richard, you check this film out. It's called American Gospel." And my wife and I together watched it, and we watched it through tears. We were like, finally, someone is doing something against this. And with all the theological voices in the film, all the people who loaned their voice to the thing, all the major American evangelical leaders, I was overjoyed. Literally, like, finally, someone is noticing, someone is taking notice. And particularly with the emphasis on Bill Johnson in the film and Todd White and others, we were just overjoyed that someone was finally noticing, someone was finally taking some kind of stance, and they were taking it critically as well and saying, "Wait a minute, folks." I really was like, wow, finally, yes. I mean, I must have watched it 10 times originally. Brandon, I just appreciate him so much, sticking his neck out, literally sticking his neck out to make even a second film, which is about progressive Christianity, and then a third film now. And he's asked in those times when they were thinking about making the third film about people who would want to give their testimony. And I raised my hand immediately. Please, I would love to give my testimony about how this movement is making headway and a beachhead in Germany and Europe. They are exporting their American gospel, the New Apostolic Reformation form of the gospel, to Germany and Europe. And I wanted to be a voice saying, hey, it's over here too, folks. And so I just really appreciate Brandon. I appreciate this film so much. You can't even know how much I appreciate all the evangelicals in the United States lending their voice to this effort and to the next upcoming documentary series on the American Gospel, Spirit and Fire. I'm so looking forward to that third chapter. And God bless you, Brandon. God bless you, American Gospel team. And thank you so much for preaching the true gospel and critiquing the American gospel that has created such awful ramifications here in Germany, has created such awful forms of heresy even, and has shipwrecked people's faith in Germany through tears. I've cried many tears trying to as well help people understand the aberrant nature of the New Apostolic Reformation and Bethel and their proxies here in Germany. God bless you, and thank you so much for making this film.